Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terence from GSMA, heading the APAC 5G industry community. So welcome to join our first Smart City and Public Sector Interest Group powered by the community. Today, our workshop is about 5G, how 5G bring new momentum to smart city development. So this is a workshop. We will provide simultaneous translation on Mandarin. In case you want to listen to Mandarin, please select the Chinese channel in the Zoom button. If you have any questions, welcome to post your question in the Q&A boxes. Don't put the question in the chat box. Please put in the Q&A boxes. Our speaker can try to answer you online after their presentation or follow up offline. So the pandemic has driven the need for the intelligent smart city. With the emergence of the new 5G technology, many countries are actively upgrading their network, hoping to drive smart city initiative through commercial 5G deployment. So 5G connectivity combined with strengthened capability like AI, IoT, mixed reality, cloud and edge computing, it really unlocked the new potential of urban application. We define the new normal of smart economies, and also we create the future sustainable society. So today we are very honored. We have invited a very good lineup of speakers from more than 6 markets, including China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. So we will go through the agenda to share you about the topic today. So after my quick opening, we will have Deloitte China to share about how 5G bring new momentum to smart city development. And then next, we have a speaker from Smart City Consortium in Hong Kong, who will talk about the blueprint of smart city. And then next, we have Digital Economy Promotion Agency from Thailand, who will talk about how 5G impacts smart city development in Thailand. And the final presentation will be from Telecom Malaysia, who will talk about partnership for success on building smart city. After all the presentation, we will have a panel together to discuss about how to accelerate digital transformation in policy, in partnership, in technology, and on commercial model. So joined up, moderated by me and joined by Indonesian IoT Association, Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, and also Government Construction. So now let's start the session. If you don't know about GSMA, we actually a industry association with more than 1,000 members over 200 market and country. We work very closely with our member and government to drive digital economy. So every year, GSMA produce industry-leading event, MWC, at Barcelona, Shanghai, Las Vegas, and Africa, bringing more than 200,000 professional people together to shape the industry development and also discuss the hottest topic. And then in September this year, we also host a regional conference, M360 APAC, at Seoul in South Korea. So about 5G commercialization, there are already over 200 operators roll out 5G in more than 87 markets since January this year. And by the end of this year, there will be additional 30 new market roll out 5G. Altogether will contribute more than 1.5 billion of 5G connection. So by 2030, we do a forecast about there will be 5G will bring about 130 billion economy impact to the APAC region. If you have interest, please look at our mobile economy report for APAC on 2023. We just launched it yesterday. We will post the link in our chat boxes as well. So about the 5G opportunity, it is huge. And you know, the APAC region is very big, but also very fragmented. So together with our member, and governments, agency and department. We work together to form this 5G industry committee. Our main purpose is to support industry to accelerate the learning of 5G and adaptation by running different kind of proof of concept project. So we also setting up different vertical interest group in manufacturing, logistics, port and transportation, healthcare, energy, mine, utility, and also today the smart city and public sector interest group in order to support you guys. So we did a lot of workshop case study already. If you are interested, you can go to our website to download our more than 15 workshop across different interest group. We have more than 1,000 organization member, more than 60 market. We also support local government, local operator, and local industry leader to set up 5G alliance. So we get that there are already 3 different kind of alliance set up in the region. And also we work with global market alliance. For example, 5G ACIA, which is very focusing on supporting manufacturing. 5GAA, which is very focused on automotive car OEM manufacturer, and also the UTM Association, and also the Holy Medicine Association. Our aim is to bring the best practice from global into national and local to support different sector for rolling out 5G for digital transformation value. So here is our calendar plan. You can see very compact. Actually, after the interest group workshop today, our next will be on South Korea on September 7 to 8. Welcome to join us. So why Korea? Korea actually is the fourth largest economy in Asia, ranked number 6 as most innovative nation, and of course, very high penetration of fixed and mobile internet. So during the 2 days conference, we will discuss different kind of topic, including the role to the future network. I think people start talk about 6G already. And then we also have Digital Nation Innovation Summit, bringing the innovator and investor together. And we'll also have different transformation section, bringing the sector, vertical sector, enterprise to talk about how they adopt 5G for digital transformation project. And in addition, we're also touching some new technology like quantum computing, talk about the diversity, as Asia is a very diversified market. So how to include the digital, how to make digital inclusion for emerging market and developed market. And then we also have different kind of private roundtable for policy leader, for information security officer, for digital leader, and also spectrum. Finally, we also have different kind of networking. We will also have an innovation tour on 9th of September, and also capacity building for regulator on 6th of September. So welcome to join the community. If you want to access this information, join our activity. If you are very good, of course, we will get you the opportunity to more exposure speaking in our event. And also we will write case study for you. So back to the topic today about smart city. I think most of people already seen this very nice diagram done by World Bank. They collect about how people perceive the value of smart city. What are the key elements of smart city? So there's a very good definition from World Bank about a smart city. It should be a very technology intensive city that has sensors installed everywhere, offer very high efficient public services using information gathered in real time by connected to thousands of devices, cultivate a very good relationship between citizen and government using the latest technology with very interactive feedback channel. So here is some of very high level smart city number. What I want to highlight is the trend for requiring smart city is very high because of the population. More and people move to the city. So by 2050, more than 70% of the population will be stay in a city, which means that it will create a lot of traffic congestion, pollution, more expectation on the quality of life in a city environment. And then there are, according to some forecasts, for example, in United Nations, they see that in 2020, there are already 10,000 smart city. And then a research done by McKinsey is said that China actually have the biggest number of smart city in the world, of course, due to their huge population and the scale of the city, the scale of the country. And then there are 2.5 trillion opportunity by the PwC about the smart city project. And then with the infrastructure, there will be also around 100 billion opportunity in 2024. So if we look at the market around us, we see Deloitte already did a very good white paper with China operator. So today we also will have a speaker from Deloitte to talk about more about the smart city development. And then Hong Kong, as I mentioned, they are already a blueprint. So today we also have a speaker from Hong Kong, Smart City Consortium. And then Indonesia is also very eager to accelerate the smart city development. MCMC is also driving the smart city initiative in Malaysia. We also have a panel speaker from MCMC. And then Singapore, of course, they are well known for develop the Smart Nation initiative. And Thailand, DEPRA, today we'll also talk about their smart city development with the 5G impact. I think this just want to highlight the benefit of 5G, which is a very powerful wireless technology so far. It could support enhanced mobile broadband, gigabit throughput over the air, super low latency for robot control, critical IoT, massive machine type communication means millions of devices can be connected in a very dense area to support a lot of connected device, which is very basic for smart city requirement. So if you look at this framework, you will see there are different layers to support the smart city development. So now let me pass to the first speaker from Dr. Norman C., the Vice Chair of Deloitte China. He will share you about more about this today's hot topic, 5G brings new momentum to smart city development. Over to you, Norman.
Yes, thank you, Terence. Thank you very much indeed. So we switch, Chris, please help me to switch to the presentation. Yes, no.
Yes.
Not switching on my part.
It's already showing the screen.
Oh, I didn't see it myself. So I have problem with my. So I did not see the screen. Sorry.
Can you see now?
No. It's very interesting. I just stopped at your invitation. At your.
Let me try again.
Yes.
I just got stopped at your virtual agenda. I just
I think your screen doesn't refresh.
Okay, let me refresh it. Let me just get in and refresh again. Sorry, I'm not sure why.
You still can't see it, right? Yeah, some connectivity problem. Please stay tuned. I think Norman will join back very shortly. So just remind all the attendees, if you have any question, welcome to post in the Q&A boxes. Our speaker will try to answer you online after finish their presentation. In case they don't have time, then we will try to follow up in the email. So please put your question in the Q&A boxes. Thank you.
I'm back, Terence. Thank you. So that's very important. We have a 5G, you know, there certainly has been problems with our infrastructures in Beijing. I'm based in Beijing, and thank you very much indeed for inviting me to attend this workshop. And I think I'm very honored to share with you about the real trends of smart development, especially I'm working in China I'm taking the leadership role in the public service for Deloitte. And in the last few years, I'm mainly helping a lot of local and district governments on their city planning, industry planning, and smart city planning. So here I want to share with you some of our observations, especially in the group, and also we see there's some of the trends in China applications. So next slide, please. Hello, next slide. Yes. So one thing actually, last year we also have developed a white paper for leadership. We call Super Smart City because everyone's talking about smart city. So in a way, how we define smart city, of course, Terence just shared with us about the definition. So we are thinking about this, what are the 3.0 and the advancement of the smart city, because everyone is trying to building these smart cities. So when we see there's some trends based on our report last year, when we try to study the 27 cities in China's mainland and Hong Kong, and we found out a couple of things that we need to be aware. First of all, is about people-centric. That means we may not do everything by intelligence or by digital. Sometimes, for example, when we talk about the hotel, you cannot use robotics to receive the guest because this will be too cold. So we're trying to balance between the digital, the robotics, and the human beings. So this one thing we see that's very important. And at the same time, we also see the stress on green and sustainability. Yet the green is also important. It also is about what we can really integrate with the technology and also green programs. And the third one about the resilience, urban resilience, because of this COVID-19, the geopolitics, or whatever, a lot of these disasters, we will try to see how the city to be more resilient, especially from digital perspective. And the fourth one we see is the multiple scenes. It's also important at interactive and also integration. And last but not least is we'll talk about data security, privacy. And I will share you both some of the challenges in data security and privacy. And last, one more thing is about different cities at different dimensions. So we see that we would not trying to set up a sort of standard or global standards that all the smart city need to be achieve certain standard. It also depends on culture, depends on the evolution of the cities. So this is what we see, what we observe during our research last year. So what we call the super smart cities, the package. Second slide, please. Next slide. Okay. And then what we see the construction, of course, everyone talk about this as smart city a few years ago. I believe that all the cities has been past the preliminary levels, is that they just have one or two scenes based because of the infrastructures, because of the initiative. But of course, everyone is trying to work on development mature, especially on mature levels. And in China, most of the first tier, second tier cities is approaching the mature. That means the data fusion, data mining, and also support the urban, the data integrations. So SBAN is working on that part. And the more important is this different scenes, different applications can be integrated node. But more important, once we have the 5G, and infrastructures and AI now is more matured, the important is the more self-learning and self-evolution. So we see what I call the super smart cities is more than that, instead of just because of efficiency, just because of the automation, but more important is the self-learning and self-evolution. So this is what we call the four phases and three stages. So next slide, please. So what are the key important elements when we talk about the evolving the different stage? What we see now is the three key trends. First of all, is driving of the different scenes, applications. In terms of the 5G infrastructure, yes, and also AI, that's easy to really to develop some of these applications. But more important, what are the scenarios? What are the situations that we can use leverage these applications? And so this is important. We need to develop very important. What are the scenarios that we can use and leverage in the intelligent or the digital and also on the AI? The second part right now we also need to be aware is about the green and sustainability, that the efficiency, of course, in energy and carbon emission. And last but not least is the data-driven, is about the digital. How do we get leverage to digital? And also what a lot of the cities is trying to develop this sort of city brain. Okay, how to work on their brain to integrate all difference of the data and also the data structure and standards. So these are a few things. Once we have more mature in 5G infrastructure, especially, then the next wave of the consideration are all these three factors that we will see. Next slide, please. So there are three major challenges what we see when we're moving forward to build the smart city, or what I'm calling the super smart cities. So the first one is about we talk about the different the scenarios, different applications, and the policy making and the top designs. So of course, top designs about the city perspective. What would that to you to work on that? Because if we are too fragmented or too isolated, then we will not coordinated or fragmented, and this way will create a lot of the conflicts, a lot of these issues, especially on the contradiction or the data frictions. So what we need to do, have a top-line design, and also the technology need to be integrated, data need to be integrated, and one more important thing is about the policy. So the policy is something that challenges, especially on the pace issues. Now, the one thing today, the 5G infrastructure built, the AI is working on that part, but the speed of this development is faster than the policy. So what are the policy that can be easy to address, the pace problem? This one thing. The second is about the disruptive business models, and all create a lot of the responsibility problems, because once we have these different scenes, different applications, so the extension of the data utilization, who is the one responsible for that? Is that the AI, the issues, or is it the governments? So a lot of issues, especially based to the business models. And the third, of course, the data, the data privacy and the securities. And one more thing, now we'll talk about the ChatGPT, we'll talk about the AI, but more important, when we work on this 5G, the AI is so important, with more matured, but the AI, the black box issues, we don't know about what is inside. So there's also risk in terms of the governance, in terms of the policy that we need to address, and also the algorithm, the bias is also another thing that we need to consider. And one more is about the country by country, city by city, the collaboration and the consistency of such policy to address in the application of these smart cities. So this is the first challenges that we need to consider. Of course, we need to think about the balance between the intelligence, autonomy, the servers, the security. So these are the things that we need to do when we do the policy making. So next slide, please. These are the first challenges. The second challenges is about the ambiguity in business application. I just mentioned about this application about the disruptive models, the responsibilities. So a lot of these, what we talk about is business models, especially utilize the ChatGPT, for example, about to do the inquiries about the medical care. So once there are problems aroused during the medical care through this AI, so who is going to be responsible for that? Is it the AI, the infrastructure, the vendor, or the hospitals? So a lot of things that we need to see how to clear cut about the responsibility, the collaboration, and of course, we also need to know about the participation, the responsibility, what we need to think about it. So the government, the vertical participants, the collaboration, participations, and the revenue and responsibility. These are another thing that we need to address properly, so that we need to able to get all these considerations, so and also responsibility. And the models is more clear what the application and all the benefits that we can provide. So this is what we see. And of course, another thing is about the financing, about the resources, that the huge investments. So this cannot be all invested by the governments. So how is the operation models for these different applications? So this is the second challenges what we see in terms of smart cities constructions leverage on the 5G. Next slide, please. The third one is, in a way, we all encounter is the silo. is the information silo, data silo. So and we advise a lot of local governments to develop these city brain and also the infrastructures to support the smart cities. We internally in the government side, different departments, transportation departments and the security departments, and also the finance departments, they're all fragmented. Even the one data about these the revenues, about some of the data, they have a different source and different standards, even within the governments. And also the government, we're using these other vendors on the private sector, the data is also another issues. So what we need to work on that is today, all this data fragment, how can we integrate, how can we do a fusion so that we can properly store it and also have properly used. So this is another thing that how we can be more integrated and also at the same time to set up much better standards and utilize much easier so that we can put through. And of course, it's the more about the source of data, the data, the infrastructures, and also the lawmaking, especially how to have a balance between the data privacy, securities against efficiency, and the openness and applications. So this is another thing that we need to work on that, and this is very important on the smart city constructions. So the above are the three major challenges that we see and how we can push through. So next slide, please. So I wanted to share some of the cases for how we application. At the moment in Chinese mainland that we are working on is about the different scenes and different environments, so which will applicate. As I said, we're using different transportation, healthcare, the smart city in a way is more focused on the industrial parks. So like these cases, actually, we are helping the Zhongshan hospital in Shanghai to develop a healthcare digital twin systems. And this is initiated by the NDRC. And we'd like to set up this like a role models to have different scenes. And especially how we work on that part, including the research and benchmark, the global and local, the applications, and what are the scenes that we need to work on that, and what are the capabilities, the blueprints that we need to design, the special architecture, and also we help them to execute on this information and the system developments. So a couple of things we did. For example, we did this hospital twins. We did the micro flexible logistics, health management, and multidisciplinary collaborations. So a couple of things that just share with you what we did. For example, we just walked through the whole process about how patient service, and we designed the leverage, the robotics, to guide the patients on the consultant doctor and also checking waiting time. So in a way, we saved around 30% of the waiting time. And this now we have been used already in the health check services. So this is one example that we decided and leverage the robotics, of course, with the 5G infrastructure. The second is a surgery operation. We leverage our robotics is to prepare the operation and before the operation, and also we have to clean the garbage after operation. So this is another thing that we work on that leverage robotics. And the third one is about the inpatients. So we have this automatic detection of the progress during the medical infusion, and actually it saves the manpower on checking, and especially on the nurse need to go to the inpatient and to serve them. Okay, so this is a couple of examples that we developed since for these projects. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, so more since and more what we see that we're helping the local governments to do on that. The follow a few sort of examples that we can share. Like for example, in Xuhui district, the Shanghai is a smart district that there's about 9 square kilometers that including the art centers, the industrial parks, and urban living areas that we are developed and more ideal sort of AI and 5G applications on the whole the region, the industrial parks, including the living, entertainment, and also working. Okay, and another one is in Baoding actually that we trying to integrate between the Xiong'an and also living areas to make sure that this is between the living and the industry more integrated and more intelligent, more smart. So this is another top designs. And like Wuhan, the science and innovation town, especially they are benchmarking the Silicon Valley. So we're working on that, especially how to leverage digital to attract the talents, especially when they do these innovation, the technology developments. And in Changsha, Zone 9 is more on the headquarters smart development. So we are helping on the design of the headquarters, the scenes. Next slide, please. Okay. And one more is about the talk to business design, like in the Zhengzhou. Okay, Zhengzhou actually in the TOD that in the complex area, compound areas that include the office buildings and the entertainments and the shopping mall. So we are working on that part to design how to leverage this intelligence and digitals in this complex. And the Hangzhou, another real estate project, we're also working on the future cities, intelligent platforms. And now in the smart campus, we're helping these China medicine universities, and even including in the Hong Kong and the science universities on this smart campus, how the application on these digitals, especially starting from the student registration up to the graduation. So this is another thing that we are working on. And last but not least, is about the smart stadiums. So including like Dalian, Hangzhou, Xi'an. So how we are going to do the sports in stadiums and how to serve the scenes that can be more enabled, digitally enabled, okay, leverage the 5G. So this is a scenarios that we are working on to drive on these smart city developments. And we see that the more important is about the city is down to the compound or the district or industrial park. This is more applicable than we are trying to do everything from the city as a whole. Okay, lastly, the last slide is about and sort of a conclusion. What we see the trends, what are the key elements of the building smart cities, or what I call now super smart cities. The couple of capabilities that we need to have. First of all, is about the data collection, data application development capability in a city. Second is about how to design the digital scenes. And the third one is about the integration of the status, about the resources, about the financing. And of course, we need to be aware is about the infrastructure, a couple of things. The 5 infrastructure need to be ready. The big data center need to be ready infrastructure, the AI infrastructure, just like today, we are exploring, helping the Hong Kong government to identify whether we should be AI supercomputer center. Okay, and also one more thing is about the industrial network infrastructure. So that the industry is also need to be integrated, it need to be considered. Of course, at the end, it's all by scenes, like a smart scene, the water, transportation, healthcare, parking, delicate education. These are all different scenes that we need to work on that. But at the end, it's more convergence, innovation, all integrated together. So these are the few things that what we see summarize that the next wave of the smart city want to do well and world class. These are the few elements and factors we need to be considered and need to be aware. And of course, at the end, it's about the policy making that we need to anticipate the risk and especially to encourage the such building of the capability in the city. So Terence, this is my presentation.
Thanks, Norman. I think it's a very comprehensive presentation. We learned about a lot from you about the challenge. I think the 3 key challenge of what you face especially in China. But great to see a lot of progress on deploying 5G on different campus, right? Campus for education, hospital, and industrial park. And very interesting, you mentioned Songshan Hospital in Shanghai. Actually, in the MWC Shanghai on June, our APAC delegation just visited this hospital. It really surprised every one of us as they used 5G to support hologram to project into a body with a 3D organs. So the doctor right now can see through my body, just like wear a HoloLens, like an X-ray, see through my body to know where exactly if I have a tumor then they can accurately locate where the tumor is, and then they can cut through my body with a very direct path. So this really saved a lot of life, according to the doctors, very helpful, especially for junior doctor, especially when they take the operation, very comfortable. Thank you very much, Norman. Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Yes. So yes, if you want to connect to Norman, just connect to the LinkedIn or the contact information in the chat box. If you have any question to him, you can post the question in the Q&A boxes. Norman will stay for a few minutes to help to answer. Okay, so now let me introduce the next speaker, which is from Hong Kong's Smart City Consortium. IR Dr. KF Zhang, the Vice President of Smart City Consortium and the Chairman of IoT Committee. He will talk about the blueprint for Hong Kong, the Smart City. Over to you, Dr. Zhang.
Thank you, Terence.
Yes, you can share your presentation.
All right, working on it.
Good. Yes, I can see.
See my file.
Yes, okay. Please maximize it.
Yes, give me a couple of seconds.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Terence. Sorry. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name is KF Zhang, and the title today of my presentation is IoT Awareness and Standards in the 5G Era. I'm the VP and Chairman of the IoT Committee of the Smart City Consortium. I hope you will enjoy the journey I'm taking you to, which basically we talk about Smart City Blueprint and in the perspective of standards that might help the migration of Smart City development. My vote of thanks to GSMA, thank you. Here's the agenda. I will talk about the Smart City and 5G and IoT. And in the standardization perspective, I will talk about a new IEEE initiative, namely 2668, which I call in short IDEX, Maturity Index for Internet of Things. I will talk about some use case and how it helps in the digitization process of the Smart City project. And finally, I'll give a conclusion. We all know there are a few components in the Smart City that include smart mobility, smart people, smart economy, smart environment, smart government, smart living. And it's a big topic here on Smart City, so I cannot go into the details of individual topics. But as you can see, there are further breakdown of individual topics here, as you can see. For example, to name a few, for example, smart people, we need to develop a more inclusive society, embracing creativity. Talking about smart economy, we would like to drive entrepreneurship and innovation, productivity, local and global interconnectedness. As you can see, when we talk about interconnections, we highly demand on broadband traffics, and that's where 5G possibly will come in. And the high connectivity will drive a lot of other developments, including smart government. For example, I'm helping the Hong Kong government on the so-called GWIN government-wide IoT network, which basically is on low power WAN. And this will facilitate efficiency between government departments and utilities. And smart environment, we all know it, green buildings, green energy, you name it, which is basically and maybe tie up to global warming, which is quite a big topic in these days. And of course, we also are very much interested in smart mobility, including mixed modal access, clean and non-motorized options, and integrated ICT. And there's a lot of development here. Of course, the last but not least, the smart living, which we would like to develop a culturally vibrant and happy environment and be safe and healthy as well. So I think that's all I will touch on today in this 15 minutes. What's the vision of the Hong Kong government on smart city? And here it is. The government would like to strive to build Hong Kong into a world-class smart city, as described by both Terence and Norman, through adopting the measures set out in this smart city blueprint. There are at least 2 versions of the smart city already. And the visions of the government is to embrace innovation and technology to build a well-famed smart city characterized by a strong economy and high quality of living. And so these are the visions. Just to name a few of the visions, hopefully the smart city might nurture a harmonized environment which will embrace innovations. Sorry, this is in Chinese. Just listen to me, it's okay. And so we would like to try out some experience and some trials as well. And so that will facilitate a better smart city. And also the smart city vision will facilitate healthier, happier environment. And we would like to have a greener and cleaner, sustainable living city, which will be one of the best cities among the world's development. And we care about aged person, elderly, and the digitization will help the smart city development. I'll further describe the digitization in terms of standardization in the following slides. And of course, we all understand the energy efficiency, which may keep our Hong Kong's environment more sustainable and better for living. And because of the high connectivity that is needed to achieve all those goals that I just mentioned, so 5G is one of those technologies that might possibly facilitate all these needs. And 5G can be used in basically 3 main connection, at least 3 main connection service, including enhanced mobile broadband and mission critical communications, because when this is mission critical, that means we need low latency. So that's where 5G can come in. And very often, as Norman also mentioned, and sorry, Terence mentioned, that there are lots of sensors being developed right now. And so we talk about the connections of all these sensors. So 5G may drive a massive IoT connections for all of this. And within 5G, there's also narrowband connection like NB-IoT. So all this will facilitate better IoT connections, which in turn will drive these smart city projects. And as this is also described by Norman, who talked about a smart campus. And so here is one of the experience in Hong Kong, in which the Director General, Mr. Leung, of the OFCA, which is basically the office driving the regulating the use of spectrum. The full name of OFCA is the Office of the Communications Authority, and driving the 5G in the campus environment together with Hong Kong PC. And as we all know, 5G can connect literally to all sorts of things, including delivering of data to different points at different where. That may possibly lift help people to get rid of poverty as envisioned by one of the tycoons in Hong Kong. And I would like to brief a little bit, since Terence briefed a lot on the worldwide scenario on 5G. So I would like to brief a little bit on the 5G dominance in China. And China surpasses 760 million 5G smartphone users and deploying 2.9 million base stations already. Basically, I think this is the largest number of base stations as well. And there's an increase in revenue by 6.2%, which is a remarkable 17.1% rise in total business volume year on year. And there are over 2 billion mobile IoT devices currently in use. And this shows the widespread adoptions of mobile technology across various industries. The impact of 5G can be felt in different sectors, such as healthcare, education, transportations, with over 50,000 application use cases demonstrating its transformative potential. And the 100 Cities, 1,000 Parks Industrial Internet campaign has further fueled China's digital transformation by benefiting numerous enterprises and fostering innovations through the creation of influential industry internet platform. Now, this word digital transformation, which means digitizing, is critical. So is there any way to digitize the performance, to quantify and measure? Now, I will talk about this very soon. Now, back to the sensors, which both Normans and me, I'm also talking about sensors here. We need sensors to aggregate data for IoT before this data can be carried to the back end for further analysis, which we call it AI. And because of all these sorts of IoT connections, there could be IoT threat. Why? Because at this point in time, listen carefully, there's no regulations on the sensor part, the smart sensor part, on the communication protocol. There's nothing to regulate this part. So there could be IoT threat, because when we aggregate data from IoT, there could be something hidden in the sensor part, which we are not pretty sure at this point. So IoT type cybersecurity is a challenging thing at this point, because we are not pretty sure about the IoT phenomenon at this point. And also, when we talk about AI analytics, how much do we know about the accuracy of the data? So if you get hold of the wrong data, or at least not the most accurate data, what kind of scenario or what kind of analytics are we talking about? So the accuracy of the data captured is also a very key point, because when we do a lot of GPT, AI, whatever, you know, when you have garbage in, you will have garbage out. So we need to tackle the accuracy of data as well. So because of all these needs, this is the IEEE 2668 IoT Maturity Index, which I call in short IDEX. I have developed this standard, which have been approved by the IEEE, which is a worldwide global standard. This has been approved last December 2022 to help out to, and in what way? Is to quantize the performance of, you name it, 5G, IoT, whatever you call it. I'm the chairman of this work group, 2668. And this is a single indicator, a score, which ranges from 0 to 5. 5 is the maximum, 0 is the lowest. For all things, whatever it is, it can be a sensor, it can be a module, it can be a solutions, it can be applications. In what manner? In an objective manner. And it has to be knowledge-based, scientific, and yet this index has to help to benefit and boost the internet economy. So that's the purpose. And with I have to thank the Hong Kong Science Park with the help from Hong Kong Science Park. I did the inaugurations in 2019 in Science Park, and also being reported in newspaper. And then we signed a contract, MOU with Science Park on the trials and development of this, on the use of and adoption of this IDEX standard, witnessed by the Undersecretary, David Chung at the time. And this is the CEO of Science Park. In what way does it help? IDEX are, because I got a very short while today to talk about IDEX, so I can only brief you in a very high-level manner. For example, in the year 2017, you have a network like for example, LoRa network. When there's only one network, I can rank you, I can give you a score of 5 because this is only network. But in time, after 5 years, like for example, this year, 2023, first, you might expand your own network. And second, there could be networks in the vicinity. So there could be more interaction between different networks, which I call interference. So that may possibly deteriorate the performance of your existing network, so on and so forth, and vice versa. Your network may also deteriorate the performance of other networks in the vicinity. So there need to be some way to quantize your performance, and this is IDEX, IEEE 2668, and I will issue a certificate like this, which I call the Michelin of IoT, to give different levels to start with, together with the scores. And it can be applied to different areas, including smart city, smart building, public safety, healthcare, you name it. There could be more, as you can read from here. But in the interest of time, I just move on. It can help out because IDEX can quantize the performance. So it's going to help out a lot of applications, including, for example, to access your solutions, how good, how bad, or whether this is suitable for my applications, or I can help to evaluate the tender in a very quantitative manner, and also to help out the technology improvement, because by then I understand the situation of your technology, and to also to measure the security weakness of your network, and to give a quantitative analysis, and also to provide regulatory guidance as well. There could be more, which I cannot name all of them here today. So in the future, when we have more opportunity, I can talk about for more. So today, I just talk about the adoption of standardization or standards to help out smart city development. And this is right now, this is the only one globally that can quantize and give quantitative scores to measure the performance of smart city project, but include 5G, AIoT solutions and products. And because we need to buy insurance in the future, cyber insurance, and IDEX will help to benchmark the performance and will help the money measure of cyber insurance. And also another aspect, for example, in Hong Kong, the network security law will be coming in soon, and it is expected that IDEX can also helps to check on the IoT identity, which in turn will help to see whether this is network security compliant or not. So I just mentioned a few of those, so there could be much more. And I just hope in the future, when we have more time, I can explain to you more on my visions. And thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang. Very interesting. You bring out a new area, which is the IoT security. I think it's really critical for the trust, for the scaling. I mean, for the smart city project for success. Again, if you have any question to Dr. Zhang, you can connect him directly, or you can post the question in the Q&A button. He will stay behind to talk about this. So now let me introduce our next speaker, Dr. Pasakon Performata, the Senior Executive Vice President of Digital Economy Promotion Agency in Thailand. Over to you, Dr. Pasakon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lance. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm from DIPA. DIPA, we are the government under the Ministry of Digital Economy and Society in Thailand. So basically, we are the major organization that drive the smart city in the country. So let me share you our concept that how we drive the smart city. Basically, in the smart city or any, excuse me. So any problems, any requirements, it require different technologies. So in terms of requirements, it keeps changing all the times. And also all the opportunities also changing all the time. The same way, the technology also changing. So today is 5G, the next coming days 5.5G or 6G. So we have to cope with the new technology and the new requirements all the time. For examples, today the trend of the data, people are aware of their own data. So it's my data, it's my choice. So the technology also have to adapt to change themselves, like the Web3 or blockchain, to cope with the requirement from the people, or the problems with the aging populations, and so the labor cost and efficiency of the labor. So the technology come to serve in the term of like automations or generative AIs. Now come to the smart cities. It's about the urbanization, the people moving to the cities. More than half of the populations stay in cities, so we have a limited resources. So at the same time, the smart city also requires some new technology to solve the problems. So here come the 5G, IoT, the cloud. A lot of the technologies come to serve the smart city, the urbanization's requirement. So in Thailand, the mayor or the governor, they don't mind about the technologies. So what they need is the solution that can fit the requirement. So our Thailand strategy, we focus on the citizen-centric, we do not focus on the technology. So that's mean any technology that can solve the problem is fine. We need some practical solution. So if we move from 4G to 5G or to 5.5G, yeah, it has to prove that why do we need to move to 5G or 5.5G? Maybe it's because of the efficiencies, low cost or is the performance. So that is our job. We have to prove that. So it's worth to move from 4G to 5G or to 5.5G or 6G in the future. In Thailand, we have the mechanism to drive the smart city from left to right. Any city in Thailand with population more than 10,000, they can apply to become the smart city, any city. So today, more than 133 cities that have already applied and submit the proposal to DEPA. So we have the requirement. I will show you in the next slide. But what is the benefit to become in this smart city program? So if the city develop the proposal, it's a 2-year terms, 2-year proposals, and submitted to DEPA. And if they pass the criteria, the requirements, they will get the Smart City Thailand logo. The logo comes with the benefit from the government, like the financial support and the tax incentive from the Board of Investment. That means the private sector also get the benefits from the tax exemption. Here are the requirements, the 5 requirements of the smart city. The first one is the city have to define clearly about the vision and the goal. And the second one, they need to define the infrastructure plan. That is 5G is coming to get both, because we need the digital infrastructure for the cities. The third one is about the city data platform. Of course, we drive the smart city by the data, call it data driven, or we try to transform digital transformation of the cities. That's why we need a lot of data. The fourth one is about the solution. The city have to propose what kind of a solution. That there are 7 areas of the solutions. I will show you next slide. And the last one, the city have to prove to show that how to make it sustain in the long term with about the smart city business models. Here is the goals or the criteria in the 7 areas. So in the ultimate goals, the city have to meet this criteria, which is really tough. It may take 10 years or 15 years, but you have to show the lead KPI to get this the ultimate goals in the future. The smart environment is the mandatory. So every city, they can pick maybe only 3 smart or 4 smart or 7 smart, depend on the context or the requirements of the city. But smart environment is the mandate. They have to submit the smart environment plan. Okay, that is about the smart cities plan. We have a national steering committee to drive the smart city. At the same time, we also have the committee on the 5G. And here show you the readiness of the 5G, the covered area is almost 100% in Thailand. And we have 3 spectrum from low band, mid band, and high band. And you can see the players of the smart city in Thailand. And here comes the smart city Thailand. This is Thailand 5G action plan. In the 5G action plans, it's also mentioned about the smart city inside. So you see that we have the parallel plan, smart city plan, and the 5G plan. Okay, here, when we see the coming of the technology like 5G, so we wonder what kind of the new feature that 5G over the 4G or over the old technologies. So we know that, okay, the 5G is coming with the massive machine type of communications. We have a really reliable low latency. We have the edge computing, very safe, secure network with a private network. They have the network slicing. So our job is to matching the smart city and 5G together. And you will see in this picture that the smart poles, the city control center, the digital twins, smart ambulance, many kinds of the solution from the smart city could take the benefit of the 5G feature. And what we need to do some kind of a proof of concept or sandbox in the smart city area to show the mayor or the governor that okay, this kind of the technology can make the better or the good performance for the city solutions. And here I will show you some use case in some country, Thailand. The first one is from Phuket. Phuket is a tourist area. We have the smart gate to scan the tourists from in the airport and from the pier. So that means that we need some kind of the reliable communication, because we have to do some AI to analytics the picture. It could be at the edge or could be at the cloud, but it should be really reliable communications, and it's really secure because it's really privacy data. And we have the collaboration with the police department, immigration, and airport authority, of course. So this kind of the use case that we take the benefit of the 5G. And this another one is about the EMS, the ambulance. So we can send signal from the ambulance to the hospital before they arrive to hospitals. So of course, it relies very real time, low latency, and very reliable network. And this one is a telemedicine at Phuket. Okay, from Phuket, move to the north. This is in Mae Mo, is in the north of in the north of Thailand. This city focus on the environments mostly. They have a smart energy project, smart environments, and smart economy. So what they need in this use case, of course, we need a lot of the sensor network to form the big data or city data platform. So we can do the analytics of the environment, the air quality, the hotspot of the forest fire, and many concern about the waste, water management, greenhouse gas. So in this case, it's not maybe not in real time. It's about the IoT, massive IoT sensor that required in the area. Excuse me. Okay, move to another example in EEC area, Eastern Economic Corridor in Thailand. It's in Rayong, Ban Chang. So these are new cities. They want to develop and show the high-tech, high-end technology, and they come with like a smart pole with the 5G poles. Yeah, we can detect CCTV, air qualities, and SOS button. PA speaker, so this kind of the real showcase in EC area, and also come with the telemedicine with some equipment like Phuket. The last one, last but not least, in Nakhon Si Thammarat. This one is for the smart people. So in the students, they start learning using the AR, VR. So that means we need a high bandwidth to show the 3D image or in the VR for the students in the classroom. It could be real time or non-real time. But in the future, I think that we need more and more bandwidth in this area. So I think that is to include the effort of the 5G in Thailand. This is another, digital twins and autonomous vehicles in some area. Okay, today we have about 30 cities that have already received the Smart City Thailand logo, and they can claim the benefit from the government, like finance and support, and also the BOI or the sandbox on the 5G. In summary, our approach of Smart City is prioritized on the requirement rather than the technology. And however, the government's mandate to implement of the Smart City infrastructure, we require the 5G infrastructure in terms of the different infrastructure and the city data platform. So the 5G readiness and nation plan support have from the many cities to partner with solution providers. So that is the effort of the Thailand to go along with the 5G plan and Smart City plan. That is conclude my presentation. You can connect me through this email. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Pasakon. I think it's a very holistic picture to let us know about the Thailand, the 5G development. I think, yes, really good to see DEPR and the government putting a strong support to help cities to moving toward a smart city. Really great to realize so many things you have done. Just to highlight, actually, Thailand is the first ASEAN country roll out 5G in the region. So after a few years development, so now we see some fruits coming up. It's benefit for healthcare, education, and of course the general economic impact, which is very positive. Great to see your progress. Thank you very much, Pasakon. So again, if you have any question to Pasakon, you can connect him or you can leave the question in the Q&A boxes. Don't put the question in the chat box because it's very easy to lose. So please put it in the Q&A boxes. Now let me introduce our next speaker from Malaysia, Telecom Malaysia, Harold Asaha Abdul Samad is the GM for Smart Services in Telecom Malaysia. So he will talk about the partnership for success on building smart city. Over to you, Harold. Can you start sharing your presentation?
Thank you, Terence. Good morning and good evening to all participants, my colleagues, presenters. Hold on, allow me to share the slide. Is my screen clearly seen?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, just a quick one. So before I start off the partnerships for success in building these smart cities, earlier we discussed about the trend, the policy, the adoptions, right? So the next part is actually the executions. So the key matters normally when it comes to the executions is the partnership models. So that's the topics that we are going to deliberate more today. But before I move to what sort of the partnership models, let's look at the facts, the global facts. People, half of the world population is actually living in a city, and the numbers will increase, projected about 38% by 2050. And then we know about 43 megacity projected, more than 10 million inhabitants. So this is the statistics from the UN. Why this is important? This is give an indicative the importance of the city and also how best we can help the city operators like the local councils to manage their cities effectively with the help of a technology. But before we go a straight line, yes, technology will help. So there is a lot of the what we call it as a conventional or the existing challenge that these city operators are always carrying on back in their back. So we talk about this smart city, but at the same time, the city operator has other problem that they are facing today. Same goes to a citizen that living in that city. So they had their own problem. So by looking at I believe this problem will be more about the same, cut across any regions, any countries. We talk about the environment, we talk about the economy, risings of the interest, risings of the living cost, the mental health because of the pressure work life, and also the mobility and the lack of digital infrastructure. So this digital infrastructure, especially for Malaysia, we are technically okay and at a very good pace when it comes to a big city. But when we talk about the suburban area, that is where we start facing a challenge. So considering these are the problems, and also the facts that people are putting more interest to live in the city, especially to the younger citizens. So what comes next? For a city to become successful in driving the smart city, there are about 7 areas. And I believe earlier presenter have mentioned about the citizens come first mindset. Definitely that's one of the key. But when we look at the adoption and amplifications of the smart city, the next part, the big part that normally create a bottleneck, creates the roadblock, is actually cost, and also the affordabilities of each and respective local councils or cities operator to adopt this technology. They have so many problems that today facing and they need to solve, and they are also in pressure to improve the cities. So I'm touching that, and it goes to the number 2, where we believe in Malaysia, public-private partnership program is the key to accelerate, number 1, the adoptions. Number 2, the solutions that we should provide to a respective city, especially when it comes to 5G. People talk about 5G and what sort of the use cases that can be used to benefit the cities. So the next equations, when we talk about 5G use cases, and the biggest context coming ahead is actually how we can scale these use cases. Normally, it's always related back to the commercials, adoptions, and so on. So that's why for us at Telecom Malaysia, since we are also serving our country as a government-linked company, so we had another responsibility to lead and drive Digital Malaysia. So for TM, we understand the situations, and then we created 2 key programs to spearhead this smart city adoption, including the adoptions of 5G. So the first program that we created, we call it as a 5G Spear. What 5G Spear is all about? 5G Spear is actually, we gather a list of all technology partner globally and also a local partner to work with us, but not just with the technology standpoint. We bring in our customers, because we do understand each of the city, they might have a slightly different problem, and then the key challenges that we try to address, how do we help our customers, which is the city operator, to adopt at a very competitive commercials, rather than just go on the pilot, but at the end of the day, they are not able to scale because of the affordability issues. So that's the whole reason in a Telecom Malaysia, we created our 5G Spears. And then come to the next point, which is our sandbox. Earlier, our friends did mention in Thailand, they do also have a sandbox. So in Malaysia, driving by TM, so we provide TM, which is the focus of this sandbox program, to co-create the solution together with our technology partner and also our customer, and create a living task environment to ensure that the solution can be effectively adopted. And the next part, we inject the elements of go-to-market. So here the summary of our sandbox program. We provide our technology partners with a platform that contains of the IoT platform, our innovations, the whole TM network, including our conventional network, voice, internet, and also our data center, to be made available for our partner to ride on. And then we enable them within the ability to make use of our own labs and also our innovation labs, our university campus lab, and also our TM R&D lab, for them to co-create the solution task within the lab environment, and then work out with our customer on the market access to ensure that this solution is not just deployable, but also can be scalable. So we do understand when we try to create a sandbox ecosystem, there goes another questions. How do we link up to the other existing sandbox program, to the other existing funding by government? So our agenda in TM1 sandbox program, we serve also as an aggregator to other government initiated sandbox or private initiated sandbox, and also to access to whatever funding that will be made available by government and our private sectors. So in a nutshell, before I end my sessions, when we talk about the smart city adoptions, it always going back to the questions: how do we scale? How do we make sure the solutions, that so-called a new solution that yet to be commoditized, to be able to be deployed effectively cut across the city? So this is always a bigger questions that pumping up to citizen perhaps, and also to the operator. To us, we can't do something that is not commercially viable. So it's really it's like chicken and egg story. We can deploy at a very competitive market, but we need a volume. But when you need a volume, you need the adoptions to be regulated by the governments and so on. So that's why we created these two programs that cohesively exist with governments, programs and initiatives to ensure that this chicken and egg issue were well addressed, and at the end of the day, we should be able to accelerate the adoptions. This is my email and also my assistants, Muhammad Afabi. Feel free to scan our QR code. We more than love to answer your questions directly after this. Thank you.
Thanks, Harold. I think very good to know about Telecom Malaysia driving with this sandbox. I mean, this is really important, like what you said, egg and chicken, right? So we need innovation. We need a lot of ecosystem participate, right? So yeah, please connect to Harold, and then if you have any question to him, we might to use the Q&A box to put question to him. So thank you. Harold, you can stop sharing. Now let me introduce the final panel together with me. So we have Teguh Prasetya, the chairman, Indonesian IoT Association. We also have Malini Ramanigan, the head digital demand from Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, MCMC. And then we also have Michael O'Connell, Garment Construction. He is the general manager. Welcome, three of you, to join me for the panelists. So just remind, if the attendants, you have any question, welcome to post the question in the Q&A boxes to the panelists. So maybe now let me just let my panelists to introduce individually one by one. Maybe Malini first, lady first.
Thanks, Terence, and thanks, GSMA. Hi, I'm Malini. I'm with the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, where I look into driving digital transformation and innovation programs, from conceptualization to execution of national level programs, which includes the development of 5G adoption frameworks and policies as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Malini. Michael? Share your role, what you are doing.
Hi, I'm General Manager at Gammon Construction, but primarily I'm responsible for driving the digital transformation in the company and looking at implementation of new technologies on our sites to streamline work processes and bring efficiencies and savings on manpower, etc., on our project sites.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Tagu. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Terence. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. Nice to meet you all. My name is Teguh Prasetya. I'm from Indonesian IoT Association as a chairman here. Also CEO of Alita, which is a private company that doing system integrator in this country. My role is actually becoming enabler for all ecosystem that involving in the IoT. And of course, the hot topic now is of the 5G deployment, as well as in line with the smart city is one of the use cases that we are doing it here. So glad to meet you, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much. Really good. We have the panelists from Malaysia, Indonesia, and also Singapore. So just recap a little bit. I think all of you are familiar with 5G, right? A lot of features, I think the previous speaker also mentioned. So from your point of view, just want to ask, as you are using the technology to support the smart city development, so what do you think the major 5G benefit for this area that you are looking for, or you are supporting the organization to use this technology? What are the key features you see the 5G will benefit for smart city or your project development? Maybe Michael, you first as an enterprise.
Okay, for us, obviously, we're a construction company. We've tried and tested different technologies in the past, but using 4G, and we found it was a little bit limiting, and the performance of these technologies, it wasn't very user-friendly on site. We had a lot of lagging on some of the issues. We weren't able to stream the heavy data files back to where we need them. So we found the adoption was dropping a little bit in these new technologies. But with 5G, since it came along, because of the low latency, because of the better, the bandwidth, you can even slice in terms of dedicated supply, to your tech. We're actually finding that these technologies now we're deploying on site are much more efficient. They're much more easy to use, which means our project team will actually adopt these technologies, because if it's hard to use, people don't use it. So I think really it's just the speed that comes with it now, and we're able to apply it to big file data sources like 3D laser scanning, cloud point data that we can process and send back to HQ sort of over the 5G network. So that's really the big difference for us with 5G.
Ah, yes, nice. I think 5G to most of people, you can just imagine is a fiber in the air, right? So that means that right now you have a fiber in the air. So how do you use it? Like what Michael mentioned, I think the super performance is really overwhelming than existing wireless technology, including 4G. So Teguh, how about you? Indonesia is so big. Do you think 5G can help?
Well, of course, right now, currently we have more than 30 cities already have 5G coverage in Indonesia. And hopefully by the end of this year, it will be 23 million of devices, 5G devices, smartphones especially, is already here in place in Indonesian consumers. And for sure, number one is for the smart city itself, is for the densification of the mobile broadband itself. That's the most important things for the 5G to be put in place on top of the current 4G network in this country, especially for Indonesia. And secondly is regarding the low latency, because for the smart city itself, a lot of sensors that should be put in place, a lot of AI-based CCTV is already put also in place, need to be integrated and need to be low latency to be able to connect and to analyze in the real-time basis. And number three, the most important things is also the massive connectivity that 5G is also proof and also believe those one will solve the massive connectivity of the sensor or devices, especially for IoT devices that's connected through the 5G network. And last but not least, Indonesia has just built the new capital city. So the new capital city of Indonesia will be the first most advanced 5G network with the full use cases over there. So we are start constructing right now, and hopefully by the years of 2024, we can enjoy full pledge of smart city in the new capital city of Indonesia, which is in the middle of Kalimantan Island. So that's my point of view.
Yeah,
Thanks,
great. I think great to see the progress of deployment of 5G in Indonesia, especially the huge capital is coming up. Great. So Malini, I think MCMC taking a very critical role to drive 5G. I think yes, you have a very important role on this ecosystem development on 5G, and just like to hear from you, from your perspective to see 5G, right? What are the key value for you to see?
Yeah, so as you know, we started our commercial deployment of 5G in 2021, and today our coverage at populated areas has reached 64.7%, whereby all states in Malaysia have got coverage of 5G, right? So there are early potential use cases that I see as a quick deployment or quick win. And this is based on the demonstration project that we undertook, the trials that we undertook way back in 2019, 2020. That was the 5G demonstration projects. We had 100 use cases identified, deployed in real world scenarios, and when I look at that, based on the trials and the POCs that we have conducted, some of the early maybe application of these use cases that would leverage on the attributes of 5G would be, in areas of smart city, safety and security, where the use of 4K high def cameras, complemented by AI, would enable real-time mapping, as well as managing, complementing it with emergency response services, But I suppose the challenge would be to, as we did POCs, it was standalone or isolated use cases. I think the challenge that we would see is how do we actually integrate all these various use cases within a city scenario, working with the various stakeholders, the local government, the various ministries that we have, and harnessing that data, the power of data that all these use cases would actually generate, so we foresee that as, a lot of effort would need to be put in place, as we develop in the context of a smart city. So fine and well, we have got use cases that we've identified, we trialed, it worked well, to the expectations of what 5G would actually create, but I think there's a lot of work more to be done in the context of smart city.
Yeah, sure. I think very aligned with what Norman also mentioned from the Deloitte, right? About the integration, about the policy. So yeah, I would like to follow up about this. So I think MCMC is just one of the government department, right, to drive 5G, right? I mean, you guys, of course, you own the regulation of the spectrum, the policy for to support the 5G rollout. But then, of course, when we talk about smart city, it have so many things, right? Education, healthcare, public safety. So I think really want to know, as a government, one of the government department, right? How do you drive the collaboration between different government? How do you motivate the other department to use 5G, right, for enhancing the existing services or go through the digital transformation journey? I mean, from policy-wise, any policy to support you to drive the other department to on this area, or any resources to support? Yeah, so really curious to know about what's happened in Malaysia.
Yeah, so I suppose like you rightly pointed out, Terence, I think the key word is actually collaboration, right? Moving forward, I think that it would be the game changer, whether if it's within the public sector, between government agencies or ministries, but moving beyond between the public and the private sector, and so from a smart city perspective, at a national level, we work with the Ministry of Local Government Development, and also in this committee, we've got obviously various relevant government agencies, and we look into the development of a Malaysian smart city framework. So we've got a framework on smart city that is ready, and this framework, the idea or the intention is for it to serve as a guide and reference to local authorities, to the state governments, federal ministries and departments, as well as the industry players in planning and developing smart cities in Malaysia. Okay, so if you were to look into this framework, we have identified 85 indicators, and this is actually based on the ISO 37122, and among the 85 indicators that we've identified, telecommunication is a fundamental indicator, right? In implementing smart cities, right? So in this framework as well, there are various to be a bit more precise, there are 5 categories that we've put up, that we set up, from a pre-smart city level, which is essentially level 0. And then you move on to level 1, it's considered as a smart city early adopter, whereby they've got perhaps about 10 indicators that they fulfill out of this 85, up to level 4 with visionary smart city. Okay, so what we are currently doing is with Ministry of Local Government and an agency under them, which is Plan Malaysia, we are looking from a 5G perspective, putting a step up of that requirement, as part of the smart city early adopter status, so this is work that we have, ongoing work that we are putting up in with collaboration with the other ministries. So our role, MCMC's role in this committee would be to look from a policy and regulatory perspective, from the communication angle. We also then look into facilitating and promoting expansion, especially in terms of the infrastructure rollout, to cater towards the needs of the smart city. An important critical role that we have is a data sharing MOU, that we're establishing, looking into how we could actually harness data to encourage early planning efforts for communication infrastructure, as well as development of smart cities based on the IoT and, that sort of thing. So this is early stages still, but some of the inroads that we've got planned, so that we fulfill some of the basic needs of smart city. Obviously, apart from that, we also look into standards development, right? We've got a technical code named Smart City, Sustainable City Architecture in Relations to ICT. That is something that is going through the process of public inquiry, industry consultation, so that would actually cover some of the things that the other speakers spoke about in terms of standards or guidelines for sensors, green data center, looking into sustainable amount. But like I said, these are effort that we've started with. The journey has just begun, a lot more things to be done, I would say, as we see more and more emerging technologies come in play.
Yeah, yes. Thanks, Malini. I think definitely see a lot of work to be done, like what you mentioned. I mean, yeah, it's not simple. I mean, the complexity of a city is really huge. So maybe I want to ask Michael, from your experience in Singapore, right? Do you see enough support from government or from the public side when you start the project regarding to this area?
Yeah, I definitely do, and it's whether it's IMDA or whether it's BCA, the Building Control Authority, or whether it's GovTech. All these agencies and authorities are actually pushing the use of 5G to solve certain issues on site, and they're providing funding as well to kickstart with some of the the companies of using these new technologies to cover the cost. So we're seeing big moves certainly over the last year, and we've done different pilots and tried different use cases, whether it's with video analytics and AI computer vision, and we've tried them with the 3 different agencies that have provided some funding. But I think more important, because that's a short-term benefit to get the funding and enables us to do the trial, but how do you get wider adoption, and how do you get this long-term, the use, using 5G to drive these different technologies? And I think it's starting to change now, because we're seeing actually that it's mandatory now on sites to start using video analytics on the CCTV cameras for worker monitoring, for safety monitoring, to uplift the standards on site. So I think once you start having these mandatory requirements put into your documents, your tender documents, you're actually forcing the issue for adoption, I think, across the industry. So I don't think more approaches like that, in putting it inside your contract documents, so all the contractors will have to tender for this, is a way of really pushing this out through into the industry and encouraging that wider adoption. Otherwise, it will always be the few players, the few big contractors that use these technologies, but a lot of the others and the smaller parties won't come to the table.
Wow, I think it's really good. Right now, it seems look beyond you talk about the sustainability, right? How to scale. I mean, the good things, how it can be long-term. I think really good to share us these insights. I think you are lucky you got many funding to support you, and then now looking beyond for the long-term benefit and the sustainability. So maybe also want to ask Teguh from the Indonesia. So what kind of policy, as a huge country, huge market, what do you see, what do you advise, from the Indonesian perspective, from the policy side?
Well, of course, Indonesia is, if we are talking about the public infrastructure, for sure, the Ministry of Information and Communications take a role a lot. And we, for example, for 5G itself, currently we are enhancing the current roadmap of the 5G itself towards 2030. So with this roadmap, we are trying to ensure that all ecosystem is being, involved together, collaborate together to make sure every use cases, not only for the public sector, but also for the private sectors, for industry sector, for manufacturing, is also being in cope with that one. So we are working together, Ministry of ICT together with the Ministry of Industry. We are working hand in hand to make this what we so-called Indonesia in the future, 2030 toward 2045, the golden age of Indonesia, what we call is draw with the proper roadmap to achieve that, toward that one. So that's what we did. For sure, it's not only from the technology perspective, but also from the other perspective as well. For example, the Ministry of Finance should be there. The coordination minister of the economic is also involving on this one. The National Planners Department is also involving on this one too. So, like what Malini said, it's coming like collaboration among all the government and also us as a community, as a technology partners, as a vendors. User involvement is also necessary as well. As a user, not only passive user, but also proactive user, the active user that we are currently seeing right now and demanding a lot of services, a lot of improvement, and a lot of not only quantity-wise, but also quality of services that they tend to have. So it means a lot of work, hard work in front of us. And like I said, 5G deployment, smart city deployment is nothing if it's not integrated. It's nothing if it's not coordinated and well planned and well designed at the very beginning.
Yeah, thanks, Teguh. Just want to follow up about this. Let's talk about the partnership and ecosystem then. I think you just rolled out this 5G Now Indonesia. I think this is a very good portal. You launched this in the last MWC Barcelona. Can you talk about more what exactly it is, how you bring the ecosystem with this good initiative together?
Thank you, Terence. Yes, 5gnow.id actually becoming central portal that is supported with the government for sure. And with that one, we try to make this collaboration is becoming what you call active collaboration. So it will sustain, it will make this ecosystem support each other's and collaborate proactively. So we are communicated among all the consumers, the consumer market, also corporate market, and with all telco is involved on this one, providing their network, not only the information, but also use cases that they currently tested and is there already they already put it in place. And we as association, not only us, but also all other association, also hand in hand together to make sure the 5G and its related technology, for example, IoT, IP version 6, fiber optics is already put in place. And we are make sure that this one will utilize efficiently and also optimally. And other than that, regulator is also mentioning, because this portal is very important for them, not only giving the information, but also giving the feedback from the government perspective. They need the feedback from the public, even they are showing, okay, this is the roadmap that they would like to cooking, and they need to have a feedback as well through this portal. As an industry, this portal is also important, showing that they are ready, the readiness of the use cases, the readiness towards release 15, 16, 17, and onward is also important for them to make sure that the adoption of this technology on the right time and the right place. And last but not least is also media and the academia. So the media itself is also involving a lot. They need to have the data. They need to have to gather the information. So with this portal is perfectly reliable sources for them to gather the data, to get the data. For the academia and the R&D center, this is also important for them. So they also taken place as a part of this ecosystem of this portal. They can update it, the latest R&D that they have, and also the latest R&D that they are producing. So with this one, the industry, the ecosystem, the consumer, and everybody can see it and can look at and can collaborate as ones. And the main objective is to pursue and to proceed the current 5G deployment in Indonesia on the right way, on the right path, and on the right track.
Yes, a lot of right pace. I think this portal is the right time to launch, I think. Yes. So Malini and Michael, just also want to ask you from your perspective, do you see any challenge on working on with the ecosystem and partner? Do you see the sufficient support, I mean, from the market?
Yeah, so maybe I'd like to comment on this a bit, Terence. See, while we want to promote a very dynamic and robust collaboration and partnership ecosystem, and we all know that the foundation of smart cities lie in data. Data is the underlying pillar, I would say, that would actually enable the development of and function of the smart city. And through that, you potentially will see a lot of various kinds of partnership, whether it's public-private, cross-department collaboration, data sharing platforms, there may be two main fundamental element that I think we've always got to have our pulse in. Number one would be in terms of security, trust, and data governance, right? I think building trust through clear policy and guidelines, and that's where I think we take a lead role in, and lead emphasis on data sharing and privacy protection policies, as well as security policies, supported by a robust data governance framework. I think while we pursue, in developing the ecosystem, fundamentally, this has to be the biggest pillar or fundamental pillar that we've got to set in our framework, and of course, to enable all this collaboration and knowledge, that's where the standardization and interoperability element would actually come in. Yes, to answer your question, yes, collaboration partnership, is definitely required. That will be fundamental in developing it, but at the back of it, the cornerstone of it would be on issues of security, trust, and data governance.
I see. So Michael, I think, yes, you did already deploy some 5G solution in the market. Do you find it very challenging to get partner, any gap with you on the ecosystem development?
I think during the pilot stages, we partnered up actually with Singtel, one of the service providers. Now, that was partly due just to do testing to make sure we had sufficient coverage, because obviously with a project site, you can be 400 or 500 meters long, the project site. So in terms of whether we have sufficient coverage, doing the testing and the strength of the signal so that we could deploy the technology throughout the site. But I don't think this will be a big problem moving forwards, because I think once the network is all established and we've got 5G spread across Singapore, then I think it'll literally be plug and play solutions when we use the 5G with whatever tech. But it was interesting because actually in terms of tech partners, because of 5G, it's opened up new technologies for us. So we've got skill gaps on some of these technologies. So we've had to bring in these tech partners to deploy some of these use cases that we've come up with. And I'd like to say these would be long-term partnerships, But if I'm brutally honest, they're probably short-term, because once we've transferred the knowledge from these partners into our own team and built up our own skills, then we will probably go on and use these technologies self-sufficient by ourselves. So I think over the coming sort of 2 years, as more and more use cases get opened up because of the 5G backbone that we can use, then we will be meeting more and more of these different tech partners to plug in, test our solutions. But once we're up to speed, then we'll look to be performing ourselves, self-supporting, our own business from internal. So it's all that upskilling, training of our internal resources.
Thank you.
So that,
I think, I think it's very great to hear you can get sufficient support. And also, yes, I think, 5G is really a good enabler on top. There could be a lot of new applications, new things can be developed. I think maybe there's also a gap, right? You mentioned that the talent gap, they don't aware the 5G capability. So once they are aware, they need to adjust this. I think the technology is also in a way of convergence, right? I mean, somehow right now, connectivity is maybe running faster than the other technology. It has super good quality of bandwidth and connectivity, but then people have to think about how to use it. I go back to the 20, 15 years ago when there's 3G, right? Everyone think about 3G. Oh, we do a video call, it's a killer app. But turn out no one use it. And then some good innovator, they create a smartphone, right? And then they make use 3G and they're very successful. Then we don't need to promote 4G. I think right now we are in a gap. 5G is super good quality, but there's a gap for the other technology to catch up to know how to use this technology. Because otherwise 5G is still, to many people, is still expensive. If we don't have scale, we can't drive down the cost, and then we don't have the appropriate application to make use this superior quality of 5G, which is a shame, I would say. So I think we really have to work together to drive the ecosystem, the partnership, to understand the value of 5G. I think great to have all of you to share us about a lot of insight and the development right now in different market. Finally, before I close the panel, I would also like to ask, after today's workshop, what was new idea or new insight you want to highlight, or we would like to hear from you guys. What is the next 6 months? What are your focus? It's very critical to drive the success of smart city in the 5G era. Maybe this time over to Michael, you first.
I think for the next, 6 months is actually establishing a network on all our projects, and actually because we're looking at doing a centralized control room where we can have eyes on every one of our projects, and 5G will enable that. So all the key data for all our projects we can manage from HQ inside our control room, which has got key project data from all our sites. So I think that's the vision we want to realize. And I think now with having 5G and having sufficient coverage across Singapore, on the majority of our projects, we should be able to arrive at that. That's our short-term goal for the next 6 months.
Wow. So you have a dashboard in a control room. You can.
We got a control room with a full
visualize all the business operation.
Yes.
Wow.
Safety records, progress, everything in a snapshot.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of data that needs to get fed back to HQ and then processed.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what we're going for. That's our dream.
Yeah. Hopefully we can bring our APAC delegation to visit your amazing dashboard very soon.
Well, in 6 months.
yeah. That's why I'm thinking about next year. We can definitely visit Singapore to visualize what you have achieved. Tagu, how about you? In the next 6 months, or any learning or insight for today?
Oh, okay. From our perspective, the next 6 months, number one, our priority is to push government to releasing the tender for the low band and mid band and also high band. That's the most important, especially for the 5G deployment. since we got a new minister. So new minister task is other than finalizing all the rural area base station for 4G. Now it's time to releasing the frequency band for 5G, especially for the low band, mid band, and high band. That's number one. Number two is we are start to build what we call the testbed for IP version 6, because we are trying to drive also IP version 6 penetration in this country. Currently, we have around 41 million devices capable to start using IP version 6. So 5G IP version 6 will be hand in hand together to ensure all the capability of the 5G is being used as can be used and can be utilized optimally here. So that's what we are trying to push the next 6 months for sure. The key is collaboration. The key is if we can share as much as possible, not only the passive network that we currently do, but also the active network in future, for sure, it will beneficial for everybody, not only for the operators, but also for the country as a nation.
Thank you, Tagu. Strong ambition. Yeah, we will support you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Malini, your side, your turn.
Right. So as you know, we are looking at an 80% population coverage rollout by the end of this year, before the introduction of a dual network model next year. So with that 80%, we foresee more smart city-like use cases, especially with some early use cases in the area of safety and security, so potentially you would see some commercial deployments in those areas. Naturally, we look into further developing and supporting the smart city framework, working with the relevant ministries there, as well as the standardization work in providing technical guidelines and standards. That's something that's always ongoing with the Commission. Yep. So we look forward to supporting our industry players and facilitating their deployment.
Wow. Yes. I think before we end the session, I think I would like to thanks again for all the speakers and the panelists here. I think I will always want to emphasize 5G is still a evolving technology. It have a lot of good feature coming forward, not just end on release 17. We have 18, 19, and 20. So that's why our community will keep active to support all the APAC market to develop 5G. So if you see the screen, after this workshop, I would like to highlight, actually we have Mobile 360 at Seoul. If you want to join, let me know. It is a invitation event only. So we are not looking for large attendees, maybe 1,000. So if you are interested, let me know. And then we will visiting Jakarta. So GSMA will have a small event in Jakarta, Digital Nation Summit. So at 10th of October. So Tagu, we need to work together to drive this. And of course, we also look at Kuala Lumpur. So we will have a 5G activity there as well. So once we fix the date, we will also let you know. And then finally, around end of November, we also have a sector-focused 5G event about healthcare. So healthcare actually already adopt quite a lot of 5G technology. So we are great to see Singapore is quite advancing in this area. So we will have an event about hollow medicine adaptation with 5G private network in Singapore. So it's a 2-day conference. So in case you are interested, please also come to me. I will also send invite to you guys. And then end of the year, we also have another virtual workshop. This time we will focus on private network. So we will get together with APAC and also Europe experts together to talk about this development. So let's keep in touch. And if you have anything, any activity, or any partner you want to connect or